Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the governorship of the state of Tennessee. And of course we have with us to talk about the governorship of the state of Tennessee, a candidate for the governorship of the state of Tennessee, former Chancellor of the Tennessee Board of Regents, Dr. Charles Smith. And Dr. Smith, let me welcome you to the show this morning.
Well, Dr. Haney, I'm delighted and honored to be here. You were kind enough to invite me a couple of years ago, and I was really impressed with the number of people who watch your program. It's really incredible, I think, the kind of following that you have, and I commend you on this program.
Well, certainly, Dr. Smith, we appreciate you saying that. And of course, the last time you were with us, you were the Chancellor of the Tennessee Board of Regents, and you gave us what we consider to be some excellent information concerning the status of higher education in the state of Tennessee. And I think at that time we also got from you some information relative to your background, your education, and some of the things that you believe to be important in your career that prepared you to be the Chancellor of the state of Tennessee, of the Regents of Tennessee. And what I'd like to do is essentially the same kind of thing to do this time, to get some information about you and your background and that kind of information, and to tell our audience why you believe it is important at this time that you be considered one of the candidates for the governorship of the state of Tennessee, and after which we'll get into some of other problems.
Well, Dr. Haney, I'm a lifelong resident of Tennessee. I grew up in rural Tennessee, Sparta. I went to school in the public schools of Tennessee, went to the University of Tennessee as a college student. I've had the good fortune of living in all three grand divisions of the state over the past 40 years. And I have been the chief executive officer over 4 major state agencies over the past quarter century. And I think that background, the knowledge of the state, the fact that I've had some experience, extensive experience of running big organizations in politically charged environments would serve me well as governor. And now, since I have retired from the Board of Regents, I want to give something back to the state. I think my leadership ability, my experience, and my style of leadership would make a real difference at this time, because we're in trouble in this state. And I think that we need a leader who is decisive, who has the courage to address the issues head on, and who is willing to listen to the people.
You say that we're in trouble in the state, Dr. Smith, and I think most people will agree with you. But let's look at the status of state government in Tennessee, which is to say that when you think in terms of the job that you're seeking, how do you see that job at this particular, the status of that job at this particular moment?
Well, I think that to really set the stage for today, you almost have to look back. And I had the good fortune and honor to serve in the cabinet of Ned McWhorter. And when we were in office, our state was judged as the best managed state in the nation by outsiders. We got national acclaim. Our bond ratings were the highest of any state in the nation. There were only 6 other states that had the ratings that we had. The education improvement program that the governor and I put in place back in the early 90s was viewed as being the most outstanding improvement program in the nation. And all of that has changed in recent times. We've been at a stalemate in this state, as every citizen knows. One of the things I hear on the campaign trail is that people are tired of the stalemate. They want to see something happen. And we're no longer the best managed state in the nation. We've lost our bond ratings. Our education improvement program has lost its luster. And above that, we're seeing state parks being closed. We're seeing rocks being thrown through the Capitol windows. We're also seeing money that was earmarked for the farmers being used to balance the budget. And our economic development has lost its momentum. We know for a fact today that in the last 5 years, our per capita income has dropped from 92% of the national average to 89%, and that 3 percentage point drop has cost our state nearly $1 billion in tax revenue. We're going in the wrong direction. We need to reverse that, and I believe as governor I could do that.
And of course, looking at the status of education in the state government in Tennessee, Dr. Smith, being in education, I think that is one of the areas that a large number of folks are interested in. Why don't you talk about education as you see education, not only from the perspective of higher education, but from education as a broad range, and what we ought to do there?
Well, I think education is the real anchor that will determine the fate of our state. You can't talk about jobs without talking about education. You can't talk about economic development without talking about education, because it all begins and ends with the degree to which our people are educated to a point to where they can be productive, they can fill those jobs that we recruit, and that the quality of life is such that people want to live in Tennessee. And specifically in K through 12, when I was Commissioner of Education, we put the focus on what we needed to do to make the environment more conducive to learning, lowering class size, paying our teachers more, giving the teachers more supplies and materials to work with, giving them more assistance to work with, giving them the technology to work with. I think we did a good job in doing that. And now, I think we've got to go make sure we keep that momentum going, because we've lost it in recent times. And in addition to that, I think we have to start giving more attention to the preschool kids, because it's my basic belief that to the degree to which we fail in getting students ready to begin school and be prepared to learn, we're going to always have a hard time in education. And if you want to look at what another state's doing, the state of Georgia is now, through state programs, serving 63,000 kids who are preschool. Compared to Georgia, Tennessee has only about 1,300 students who are being served. That's an incredibly huge gap. If I'm elected governor, that's going to be an area where we're going to put a major focus, and there are really 4 yardsticks. I want to insist that we work tirelessly to ensure that every child who starts the school is prepared to learn, that every child who completes the 3rd grade is reading at 3rd grade level, that every high school graduate is graduating with the ability to take a job and be successful or go on to post-secondary education, and that every working adult who needs to be retooled for a changing job market has that opportunity to do that. In my judgment, state government can't rest until we can say that we're at 100% on all 4 of those things, and that's where I'm going to be focusing my attention. Now, in higher education, I think that one of the things that's happened that's really alarming is that in the last 15 years, we have dropped funding in higher education from 18% of the state budget down to 12%. And that's been a steady downward spiral. And in doing that, what we have done is we've really cut the legs out from under the growth and development of higher education. And it's come at a terrible time, because we know today that we are right at the bottom in the number and percentage of people who have a college degree. We need to enroll a whole lot more people. We need to educate a whole lot more people, and yet we're going in the wrong direction. Now, overlapping this whole problem of education, K-12 and higher education, we have to face the reality that we've got a brain drain occurring now that is really alarming. On the retirement side, we know that 38% of the faculty at the Board of Regents, where I serve, between 2000 and 2005 will reach the age of 65. They'll be retiring. We also know that we're losing thousands of teachers every year to the state of Georgia, to the state of Alabama, and they're going for $10,000 to $20,000 increases in pay. So we're going to be replacing over half of our faculty. At the Board of Regents, that would be about 6,000 faculty members in the next few years. And we're having to do it at the time when we're least competitive, and that means we're going to have to be taking the 3rd, 4th, and 5th choices. The other states around us are going to get the top choices. That's a 3-generation problem, because those teachers who come in are going to be the ones who will be hiring the teachers in the next generation, and we're going to have a downward spiral that we have to eliminate, in my judgment.
And so all of these are problems that you see as the status of the state of Tennessee. What about the well-being of the economic well-being of the state of Tennessee? How do you see that? And of course, I think that we should be ready for our first commercial break, but let's start talking about
well, I think that the well-being, it all gets back to this whole budget debate that's been stalemated. And I think the thing that's really been missing in that debate is a clear sense of direction for the state. I don't think the leadership of the state has stepped up and said to the people of Tennessee, let's work together. I want to listen to you, and I want to know where it is we need to go. Are we satisfied to be 50th in this and 50th in that? I think these are issues that we have to address, and we have to have a sense of direction.
Very good. And of course, Dr. Smith, let us take this first commercial break, after which we'll be back with our audience. The Tennessee Board of Regents